Tyson says he's going to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How does that work?
He can't, can he?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his. So if it goes any other way, you know.
You give me the headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fixed, don't you?
Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's.
So he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now?
What you gonna want to fight Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off.
Jake Paul's ongoing negotiations for a potential fight with Anthony Joshua have already become one of the most polarizing and attention-grabbing topics in modern boxing. The idea of a social media star and relatively inexperienced boxer stepping into the ring with a two-time heavyweight champion is the kind of headline that not only dominates sports news, but also generates heated debates across boxing circles. Eddie Hearn, a prominent figure in boxing promotion, has been candid in his assessment of the potential fight. While acknowledging the buzz and financial potential, he has openly stated that this matchup is extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. His warnings go beyond the usual pre-fight hype. They focus on the very real physical risk of putting a relatively inexperienced fighter against someone with Joshua's power, speed, and ring IQ.
Jake Paul has reached out to Anthony Joshua a few times. I've spoken to Nikisa, Jake's manager. It's never a fight we anticipated. It's never a fight we've targeted, but if you want Jake Paul to be the warm-up fight, and obviously financially it's a great opportunity for AJ, and you want to provide AJ and probably in turn Matchroom with the opportunity to extinguish Jake Paul from the world of boxing, then maybe AJ will oblige.
Paul's manager here last week and he's open to the fight. Any developments on that?
Lots. I mean, this bizarre world that we live in, I think Jake Paul is absolutely the front runner to fight Anthony Joshua next. I'm here in New York for meetings about that fight. There's an open dialogue between myself and Nikisa, an MVP. I don't know what to tell you, Bridgie, other than it's mental. I mean, I can't sit here and tell you this is a 50-50 matchup. The whole thing is bizarre. I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua.
Tyson Fury, always one to inject his own colorful perspective into the conversation, has gone in a completely different direction by publicly backing Jake Paul to knock out Joshua. Fury's bold claim, paired with his willingness to bet £1 million on that outcome, has fueled even more discussion. Whether Fury is serious or simply stoking the flames for publicity, his comments have provided ammunition for Paul's supporters and drawn skepticism from seasoned observers.
After a world title, but if that doesn't materialize, I know the Tommy Fury name has been floated about. Is there any other fighters who may not be world champions that you're looking to face?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Joshua.
I think that's the main one that, we've talked a lot about is if it's not for the title, it's looking at Tommy, if he's reasonable, and then Anthony Joshua. And he's adamant that he wants to make that fight happen at the end of 2026.
Anything's possible. And so I like the challenge. People, that's the criticism. Fight someone in their prime who's a beast. I think people just want to see me lose. That's really what the message is behind it all. And Anthony Joshua is an insane fight, but I want that challenge. We've been DMing back and forth. He wants to make it happen. He called me up, and it's looking very likely for next year.
But you said it's you and Joshua here. Now, is this fight done? What are we talking about?
It's going to happen. Like, seriously, it's going to happen. We were talking with Turkey tonight, negotiations live in person, which are always fun. But it's going to happen, and it's just such an exciting fight that crosses the whole globe. When you ask a lot of people about certain boxers, they don't know their names. And everywhere I've been going, I just talk about Anthony, and I don't have, I'm global. So it's just such a good fight for the sport of boxing. And people will think I will die, but I will show them why I can rise against all odds and beat him. Everyone's been wanting to see happen. Who will be the king of the United Kingdom? And who will be the queen of the United? Too soon? I'm praying that boxing doesn't happen to this fight, and what I mean by that is
politics, people trying to take more money than they deserve. Fuck the money, get in there, make fucking history. This is one of the biggest fights that could happen over this past decade. Make it fucking happen, Eddie Hearn. Make it fucking happen, Frank Warren. Make it happen, Tyson. Make it happen, Anthony Joshua. We don't need fucking excuses. Don't let boxing ruin this fight. Get in the fucking ring and fight like men.
Amanda Serrano, one of the most decorated female fighters in boxing, has defended Paul's willingness to take on dangerous opponents. She points out the contradiction in public perception. Critics accuse him of avoiding tough fights, but when he challenges elite fighters, they call him crazy.
Real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul's the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights, then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind, you're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying, the co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects in Jake. But in the middle there, I don't know if she would know or, you know, whatever, but she essentially says that Jake was scheduled to fight Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Rafael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional.
On the other hand, seasoned fighters like Andre Ward and Canelo Alvarez see little value in such a bout from a sporting perspective. Ward dismisses the idea as a circus act, emphasizing that serious boxers have real opponents to focus on and little interest in indulging celebrity-driven matchups.
Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua, 50-50 fight. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ... I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him, and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. Do you know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world, make the fight.
Let's talk about AJ ever so quickly. I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions, he's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. No. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably. I'd be saying, yeah, go on. I'd like to see it.
This sentiment is shared by many in the boxing community who feel that fights like Joshua versus Paul undermine the sport's competitive integrity. They argue that boxing should be about matching fighters of comparable skill, experience, and weight, not creating media spectacles that risk turning the sport into a reality show.
I understood where Canelo's coming from. Anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you and, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing and I'm a champion walking around here and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we go fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff. But you know how it goes, Stephen A. People say they're not interested in something until that number get large enough and all of a sudden start making a lot of sense.